Great.
Welcome everyone. Sorry, we had some technical issues. That was my fault. Not Eddie's. I'm the one controlling everything here. Haven't streamed in a while. Yeah. Alright. So today, we are going to be talking about the state of the game industry and what's wrong with it. How can we fix it? Let's talk. Let's band together. These are our opinions, obviously. All the music here is provided by Stream Beats. Royalty-free music. I'll post a link in the comment section later. Awesome YouTuber. Glad he does this for other streamers so we can have cool music in the background. Alright, Eddie. Okay,
yes,
now formal introduction. Welcome to Mahala's world. I am Mr. Mahala. It's my buddy Eddie. For the last 12 years, we've been besties. Eddie, small introduction.
Hello, folks. My name is Eddie, and I will not disclose any more information than that because I like to keep my stuff private. But welcome to the podcast.
Cool. So today we're going to be talking about the game industry and the state of it. Eddie, give a small opinion on what you think the game industry is right now.
As a whole, is a mix of good and bad things that revolve around the game industry, with inclusivity and things that are issued about process of bandwagoning, as well as, I don't know if that's a word, I'm sorry, but
it's a word.
and also the term of adding stuff to appease certain types of communities out there. Yeah.
Cool. I'm along the same lines. I think the same. In my opinion, I think it's hard for developers to really be free in what they want to do because of how popular hate is today online. I think, in my opinion, right? Like,
if we put in the terms of, like, if somebody were to put their heart and soul into this project, and if it's out for the public, and all of a sudden you get all these mean comments of why is it so bad? Why is it something that I'll never play again? It's something that I don't expect it, that it's not my kind of game. And to that, it's like, in a sense that if you thought that what I made for you was bad, can you justify yourself into saying, or give me a reason? It's one of the things that a lot of people don't seem to explain themselves. Yeah.
Ooh. You're not wrong at all. You know what I mean? I think I don't know. I think there's a good way to go about doing things, and I think we're just so used to not doing it that way. You know what I mean? It's getting to a point where, like, it's hard to listen to any YouTube media, especially YouTube. But even when you talk about IGN, you talk about Kotaku, any of these, they're also bandwagoning on the unpopular bias of hating. And the only reason is, and people tend to forget this, IGN, Kotaku, they're still a news outlet. They make money by clicks and eyeballs. And they're whatever's popular, whatever's trending, happens to be hate and bandwagoning on hate. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna go to the most controversial topics to get the most hate, the most eyeballs. That's how they get paid. That's how they get ad revenue. Same thing goes for streamers. And I'm sorry, it sucks because I love watching streamers. I used to love watching game streamers. There are a couple I still watch because I know they're going to be forthcoming with their opinion and not just the opinion of everyone else. And I get it. You have these smaller streamers that bandwagon the hate so they can get clicks and they can get views, which is, I get the hustle. But at the same time, what you're doing to the industry is worse. It's worse. We are a far cry away from No Man's Sky launch. If you don't know what that means, No Man's Sky launch in a very shit state. I wouldn't say very. And it just didn't deliver all the promises that was promised. Now, mind you, this is a tiny developer promising big things and couldn't deliver. You know, but you know what the community did? Said, "Hey, we don't like the state this game launched, but go take your time and fix it." That does not happen anymore. Not a chance. You just get ran into the ground until your game doesn't exist anymore.
No,
Like that's just what it is today. I mean, okay, we'll start our first topic off. We'll start with Cyberpunk. It happened during the pandemic. I love the studio, CD Projekt Red. I love everything they do. I think it was unfairly killed. Not killed. It was unfairly judged. Because the biggest judgment, the biggest problem with the game, right, Eddie, was consoles. Now, CD Projekt Red did that on purpose because at the time, during the pandemic, no one can get their hands on a new console unless you were a goddamn scalper. You couldn't get a PS5 or a new PC.
Yeah.
You couldn't get a new graphics card. You couldn't get a PS5. So what they did was, even though the last gen consoles had a hard time handling Cyberpunk, they kept it to try to please most of the customers that couldn't get a new console to play it at the best peak of its, or the best graphics cards, whatever it was at the time. And they were trying to do a service. Now the issue was they should have seen the state and pulled back, or they could have extended the release window a little longer. But the bottom fact is the old gen consoles couldn't handle it. Just what it is. Even because of that fact, we had stuff that was cut, which is why you see updates today for Cyberpunk not being on old gens, the new updates. It's only on new gens and PC because they could barely handle the game as it is. Now, I know we're getting a little tangent here on Cyberpunk, but the point I'm making is it got unfairly murdered, right? First week, I played through the game 3 times. I couldn't put it down. It was great. And of course, it is an open world game. You name one open world game that didn't have fucking crazy bugs like cars flying or people or random cars exploding, or come on. Every single open world game, even today. And you better not say Horizon Zero Dawn. There's like 6 NPCs in the whole goddamn game in the open world. Don't give me that shit. Talking about real open world games, GTA has been out. GTA 5 has been out for fucking 27 years. It still has the same bugs.
It still has the same. A lot of stuff. Don't get me wrong. There were fixes here and there, and they always adapted to that because of some like YouTube that showed off their bug and stuff like that. But at the same time, the GTA is never gonna be like pitch perfect because there's always bugs, or there's always something that some people will exploit, because it's like funny things like when you talk about bugs and exploiting them. A lot of YouTubers have exploited with Call of Duty, and it kind of sucks because the fact that when they kept finding these kind of bugs, it wasn't. It was like around Infinity Ward that had that type of issue where they just kept finding more and more bugs, and more people had to stay in the offices to work on them. And it sucks. But it was patching up some stuff that it proved that a lot of games are not going to be perfect whenever they come out. So like, unfortunately for Cyberpunk, even though it was a masterpiece at the time, it just wasn't led up to be what it is because, again, with scrapers and people were playing it on their PS4 and Xbox One. It just didn't live up to the test of how good it was because it was an old game, and for a new game to do all these stuff within an old console, it was bound to have some issues. But like for PC players, it was heavenly for them, and for those that objectify saying like no, it wasn't, is because you didn't have the right build for it. You didn't have the right requirements to play on the game. So for it to have fixed itself from a lot of issues that we had to go through the epidemic, the YouTubers did not help the cause because what they did was they berated it, they humiliated it, they told that it sucked, and not to mention the whole part of the the problem was that a lot of people just didn't make personal judgments about the game. Instead, oh, they just wanted to follow the crowd because oh, let's just say that Nick here happens to be a famous influencer YouTuber, and he says all of a sudden, oh, don't play Cyberpunk. It's a really bad game. I would not want you to play it. I would not recommend it. And if I didn't have a 2 cents of my own, I would just start following out of blind, like out of blind loyalty.
Yeah, because you
where I
trust
just
that
say-
YouTuber. You trust that person's judgment.
Exactly.
You don't know that
And it-
person's steering you wrong, right? So,
Exactly.
and we're gonna. That's another thing we're talking. We're gonna step it up. We're gonna talk about bandwagoning. Okay, it is a plague. It's a plague, and it's not just games. It's the whole entertainment industry. If you want to be honest, we'll talk about the reason why some of this stuff is coming out in the state that it is. You'll find out later, and you'll hear from an actual industry employee, me, and Eddie. So I worked for Activision for the past 13 years. I no longer work there. I will not divulge any information. Don't ask. Developer, yes, will not tell you what I did. And I will tell you, it's hard. It's hard being a developer. It's impossible at sometimes because you have the bandwagon thing, the whole train of like Eddie just said. So you have a YouTuber that has a following. People trust that person. He bandwagon hates because he personally didn't like the game, but he doesn't phrase it that way. He or she, they don't phrase it that way, right? They just say this game is shit. Don't buy it. The problem with that is you're supposed to, yes, give your opinion, but you're also supposed to say, hey, the gameplay is not bad, right? And we can look at Helldivers for that. Not Helldivers. What's a game that had that issue? Dragon's Dogma
what
2.
issue?
Dragon's Dogma
Yeah.
2. We could do that. Okay. Everybody is hating on the game right now because of performance, right? But that's the main thing. Performance in cities are terrible. I wouldn't say terrible. They're around 60, 40 to 60, depending on your build and your console, whatever you're doing.
I mean, by looking at the game itself, can you honestly think that the PC that you have, the state of it right now, can you say in confidence that you'll be able to play the full extent of it? Sometimes you have to ask these questions when you ever see a game that are AAA or will have graphics that are phenomenal, and you just really have to ask yourself and look at your PC or your console and saying, is my PC or my desktop will be able to run this game properly into the way I would love it to play it? And that's some of the people kind of just let that question pass by them.
Yeah. And another thing is too, I don't think enough gamers and enough people in the world understand what these things are. And that's part of the problem. There's no communication on what those are. So when you look at a game and you see recommended settings, you got to keep in mind they are recommended. They're not guaranteed. There's so many combinations with a PC. It is virtually impossible to test it. And this is coming from someone who started the industry as a QA tester. Okay, I understand. I had 5-6 PCs on my desk, 4 consoles, trying to test different PC builds just to see performance. It is impossible, my guy. I mean, you have people out there running an i3 from 4 or 5 years ago and have a 4090, which makes no damn sense. This exists. It exists. So this is why it is called recommended, because these are the things we have tested. Hey, this is the lowest PC build we've tested that runs the build. We are not saying it's going to run the build at 200 frames a second at perfect graphics on Ultra. That's not the point of it, right? It is a suggestion. This is the build that we tested and it ran well on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just because you have a 4090 doesn't mean it's going to run perfect. It doesn't work that way. It depends on how the game is built.
No?
It depends on how your system runs. It depends on RAM. It depends on VRAM. It depends on what your settings are. Do you have 75 tabs open and 65 programs running in the background? That affects it. Like, do you have 6 billion icons on your screen, Eddie? That affects it. My thing is,
Wow.
it's nothing, and nothing when it comes to PC performance in games is 100%. It's impossible. So I want to. Everyone should know that by default, but no one does. Everyone goes, I have a 4090. I spent $2,000, and I'm only getting 60 frames a second. Okay, what are you playing on? Ultra ray tracing 4K. It's an open world game, you dickhead. There's 6 trillion triangles everywhere you look, and you're playing in 4K Ultra with ray tracing. And you expect 200 frames a second because you bought a 4090 and you bought the ad on TV instead of actually doing your research with a quick Google search. I'll never get over the fact sometimes people say things and do things, and it's like you could have spent 3 seconds on Google and found out that was incorrect.
Yeah.
And they're on their phone. People are on their phones 24/7 these days, and they still don't Google these things. It blows my mind, right? So let's get back to Dragon's Dogma. Let's get back to Dragon's Dogma because I kind of went off left field there. So Dragon's Dogma. Everyone's complaining about performance, right? But YouTubers aren't saying that. Outlets aren't saying that. What they're saying is terrible game, shit. And you see famous YouTubers. I'm not gonna call them out. Moist Critical. Sorry, I know. But I love Moist Critical, but I couldn't stand that he would stoop that low to do that. He had an image on his Dragon's Dogma 2 video and said overwhelmingly unpositive, right? Or negative, overwhelmingly negative reviews. That is not, and I repeat, right now, and when his video came out, that is not it's mixed. What he took an image of was the microtransaction page that says overwhelmingly negative. And cropped it out. Not cool. It's fucked up. Because what that is giving a false narrative.
You have to look at it as a whole. And
I'm sorry, Moist Critical, you don't need the extra money, my guy. You're good. You're fucking good. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need the extra money to create that narrative to get more eyeballs. You're fine. You know? I can see a lower end YouTuber doing that to try to get more clicks and views and generate hype. That's fine, right? For the channel. But for you to do that, kind of like served me the wrong way. It's like I trust Moist Critical because he's so open and straightforward. But when I saw that, I'm like, what else have you? What else have you lied about? You know,
for a man like Moist Critical,
which I love, by the way, love your channel.
To have a lot of following and stuff like that. We're not knocking on you. It's just the fact that as a person of someone with a voice of reason and somebody that had a lot of undivided attention of millions of people and viewers, it would be safe to say that to make a call out like that, you need to first have to have a safe analogy about what it is that you're diving into and what you're observing about it before you try to knock on it, you know?
Well, that's my thing. That's my problem with it. The overwhelmingly negative is about microtransactions, right? And this jumps onto bandwagon, but this also goes to severe overreacting, severe, like, just review bombing for no reason. So here's my thing. I've been playing Dragon Dogma 2. I got 200 hours into the game. Game is great. Now, yes, when you go into cities, you get 40 frames a second. It's just what it is at the time. Studio's aware. They're trying to put a fix in, right? Instead of gamers going, okay, this is understandable. They're going to fix it. Let's just be patient. And you can it doesn't mean you have to buy the game. You can, or refund it. You just wait then. If it's that serious to you, you just wait.
It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of Dragon Dogma Dragon Dogma 2. It's just that this was a trial run that people found out and people did not like. But to actually help them is to be patient and make sure that what they found out about it, and they put a patch on it. It goes. So that
patch hasn't arrived yet. But what I'm saying is the studio said, hey, we're aware of it. We're trying to work out a fix, right? This is how we do this. This is causing the problems. And a lot of people go, don't you even test your game? Bro, no one can. I'm sorry. I was a tester when I first started in the industry. People expect these companies to test with 4 million players or something. There's like 2,000 people at a company, which a quarter of a half of a quarter of that actually test the game. The rest are building it. You know how many QA testers an average AAA studio has? 200 max, and most of those are outsourced. They don't have the rights to the information, like to most of the information. They only test what we give them to test, right? Right. And this is not true for every company. A lot of companies have internal testers only. Fine.
Yeah.
But a game like Call of Duty or something massive, Dragon's Dogma, something with a huge open world game, there are 200 testers, and you expect them to test, in playtest, by the way, for millions of players or hundreds of thousands of players. Or
I mean, might I remind you? This
come on, that's
when
the
trying
point.
to find a bug from a game. It's like trying to hit every wall in your house instead of or like every wall that in the game where 200 people can do it. You're talking about millions of people hitting everywhere, and they're finding walls more than what 2 people can do.
Yeah.
So you try to think about that.
And that's my goal. I mean, that's my point. So, and my thing is, since games have been created, right? But you got to think, like, people are like, this is not how the games were back then. Those games are 200 megabytes and, loading levels. These are open world, no loading screen type of games. You're talking about trillions of triangles and polys, lighting, ray tracing, foliage, right? So my thing is, okay, right? I understand that you're upset with the performance, but that doesn't mean the game is bad. But when we look for a review, we look for the game review. Well, I mean, that's one aspect of the game. But everyone stops. Everyone stops there. Everyone stops. Now, I'm not bashing Moist Critical. The video was great, except for that one part I didn't respect. Everything else was awesome. Don't kill me, Moist. It's just stating my personal opinion on the video. It's not a big deal. Okay? Now, I saw another video. I'm not going to name any more names. Smaller streamer. His take was, there shouldn't be microtransactions in a single-player game. And so he super negatively reviewed it. This game is complete shit. Why are there microtransactions in a single-player game?
What was the game that he bashed on?
Dragon's Dogma 2. And I'm like, where have you been for 50 years? There's been microtransactions in single-player games for a long goddamn time now. This is not new.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. And on top of that, they weren't even the bad type of microtransactions. They were optional. They were fast forward microtransactions, if you will, where you can get an extra teleportation stone or get some more points to, recruit more pawns, whatever it was, right?
Yeah,
they're not something that affects the game because it's not multiplayer. It's your choice in a single player game. What does it matter if it's there if you don't buy? Just don't buy it then. My point is, people get so pissed. And then later in that video, he contradicted himself. He goes, "This game is great, but I can't stand the microtransactions, so it's a super negative for me. Don't buy it." It's like, my guy,
you never played a game that had microtransaction ever.
Yeah, and so
you honestly expect me to believe that you never played a game that never had microtransactions.
That's what I'm saying. He has, but he feels so strongly about it that he's willing to review bomb it. For what? That's not what the developer's going to see your review and go, let's take out the microtransactions. No, they need to make money, okay? And it's there. This is not 2K where you're forced to buy microtransactions at a certain point because you literally are being XP dripped.
That's ad revenue.
Yeah, it's revenue, and people understand. Like, the game was $70. Yeah, but you understand that's a burst of money they make in the first week, like every game, and then there's no money because people own the game already. It's not a subscription service. This ain't Netflix.
It's a one-time buy. It's not a consistent.
And I'm gonna bring up Call of Duty for a second. People bitch that Call of Duty has skins. You don't have to buy the fucking skins. They're cosmetic, you assholes. It's not rocket science. You don't like the skins? They're too expensive. Don't buy them. Why is this a thing? I will never understand people review.
So cool. I just gotta get them.
I will never understand people review bombing something because of something optional. That's crazy. That's like you going to McDonald's and punching the cashier in the face because there's an option to get mayo. You don't have to get mayo, my guy. Just get ketchup. We don't have to get mayo. You don't have to knock him out because the option is on the table. You know what I mean? It's just a stupid concept, right? Like, it's dumb. we'll move on to Helldivers. We'll talk about Helldivers 2 as a whole. Me and Eddie played Helldivers 1. We loved it. It was top down at the time, top down isometric, kind of the same thing. Great game.
I mean, it didn't get a lot of attention at the time because
it did.
top down
it had
was my favorite.
It had 12,000 players total.
Mm-hmm.
Wild, because this one's got
millions,
close to 1 million. Yeah, it's what concurrent players. We're not talking about players who logged in once. We're talking about concurrent. And that's across all consoles. So, well, I will say across PlayStation and PC, it is not an Xbox. It's a PlayStation exclusive. Steam signed a deal with Sony, so some of the Sony games are going to end up on Steam. It's just how it goes. Get over it, Xbox. I'm sorry. But anyway, my point is, game's great, awesome. This is the game. This is the staple of how gaming should be. They're pushing the limits of what a game can be. They're taking the D&D platform somewhat, and they have a game master. And they're
reacting. Somebody reacting to the game and saying,
"Yeah, they're reacting."
I see you like to play bugs. Let's put in button.
Yeah, so it's perfect because the whole concept of a person as a game master reacting to how the community is playing is not a new concept, but it's done so well here, and it's because they stay. Honestly, to me, it's because they're keep it in character. They stay with the satire, even in their tweets, their updates. Everything is satire. They're continuing with the whole. It's awesome.
I mean, have you seen social media yet about how like a lot of people are speculating and giving conspiracy theories about a lot of stuff that what the game is all about. Something we never seen back in Helldivers 1. It's been getting so much attention in Helldivers 2 about like, are we really the good guys or are we the bad guys?
Yeah. Awesome.
Like there's contraband showing up on one of like the little missions that you guys just read, like a radio tower, to show that there's evidence that we're not. I don't think we're in the good side, you know.
Mm-hmm. So that's another thing. It's done well, right? The game is done well. It's a great game, and it's also they don't care about all the outside bullshit. They're doing what they want to do and how they want the game to be played, and it's awesome. But there's controversy, right? What happened when they made the first update? They needed balance changes, and that's what a game master does. He makes balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sick. I am sorry. I'm sorry if you guys love this shit, but I am so sick of the meta in every fucking game. Get over it. Just play the game. Why is everything got to be a meta? Everything's this is the meta build. Just play the game.
When there was a need of a meta for a game that was all about cooperation
and freedom of choice.
Not a raid. It's not
the whole point. It's freedom of choice.
In and out.
So what you have was now you have. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. You have dickhead players that think that my YouTuber friend guy that I watch said this is the meta. If you don't use the meta, then you can't play with me. Come on, bro. What are you for? You know, and they're kicking people because they're not using the meta. Let that person play the way they want to play. Yes, it's a cooperative game, but it's about choice. Come on now.
Exactly.
Right? Number one. Number two, when they nerf, it was okay. Let's get this fucking over with now. Okay, when they balanced the game, people lost their damn minds when they said they were nerfing the railgun. Okay, they didn't nerf it. If you guys read past the first line of nerf, you would understand that they didn't nerf it. All they did was enable the weapon to work the way it was supposed to goddamn work from the beginning. Did less damage, less penetration. You click it to unsafe mode, and now it does the full damage, full penetration you're used to.
Here's a good question.
It was
Have you ever noticed in the first, first month or the full first week of playing Helldivers 2, that you felt a little weird that the railgun is shooting at the same kind of power that it does when it was unsafe, and you're like, what? You know,
why switch it to unsafe?
Why am I putting it to
only
unsafe?
like a 5% increase in damage?
All of a sudden, we're getting complaints about this sucks. When you put with nerf on the for the save for the railgun, you have to be unsafe. It's like that's the solution right there. it's aiming for you guys to start playing start using the ray gun in an unsafe mode where you can gamble to get either a high stake damage gun
To blow your
or a
arms off.
or blow your arms off. Which it's like something you like to play with for people that like to play with thrills and stuff like that. There's your weapon, take a stride on the wild side and just have a risk of blowing off your arm saying, "What
But
did you
that
do? I held the trigger too long."
that's my point, right? It's awesome, right? But you had people that were like, Nerfs aren't supposed to be in the game. Nerfs are stupid. It's like if you would just shut your mouth for 3 seconds. The whole point of the game is freedom of choice and being able to choose different things, right? Not use one
Mhm.
gun and one shield the whole time. That's
Yep.
not the point of the game. That's not how they want players to play and experience the game. And quite frankly,
They
it's
want you
boring.
to
It's boring that
explore the
way.
game. They
It's
want you to
boring. I
explore
want to
the
switch
game.
weapons and change up stratagems and weapons. Like I want to
Which
do
is
that.
why when a lot of people complain
Yeah.
about the mechs not being able to be used over at the automaton planet, that's the point. They don't want you to just keep using the mech for both sides of the planet. If it helps you in a horde against bugs, use it. I don't mind. But when it's against automatons, recommendation, not a good
And
idea.
that's my problem, man. People just don't understand basic game mechanics anymore. What they do is they want to be OP all the time, and if you take away the feeling of
Oh,
them being OP, it's a problem. My point
yeah.
is, it didn't even change the railgun really. They just made it work how it was supposed to. Unsafe mode, you can't blow your arms off. It doesn't do as much damage or penetration. Unsafe mode,
Exactly.
it does. All you had to do is switch to unsafe, and you're doing the damage you used to. It takes a little more skill, but that's it, right? But no, people
Every weapon
lost
that's given to
their mind.
you,
People lost their minds.
yep, every
Yeah,
weapon that's given to you in Helldivers 2, when you unlock them, they have a certain type of gist to them that you can use, where basically it could
my daughter's
be a
playing.
lifesaver, or it could be just something he would never want to use again. But it always depends on the situation. Like, let's just say you have a horde of leaping hunters coming at you.
Oh, the
What is the
worst.
best gun to use? You want to use something that sprays out and kills every single one of them
Shotgun,
at that area. A
arc
shotgun,
weapon.
right? Now, if it's about trying to kill a more armored creature or robot like the Devastators, which
Oh god.
you happen to know that their weak point is at their head. So you want something that
Or their
can
back,
shoot
yeah.
basically, or their back. You want something to shoot at critical point, and I don't think a shotgun is going to do as much damage because even though it sprays, it's not going to do as much damage as you wish to have. You want to use like the laser rifle or the
Something that's pinpoint accuracy.
basically. That way, it's
Well,
like
and that was
it
let's see, what was the other nerfs? It was railgun. Oh, the shield. People lost their mind over the shield. Oh, it takes 4 seconds to if it. So the nerf was if it's depleted the whole way, not that it takes less damage, not that it breaks easier. Is that once it broke, it took a little longer to go back up. That's it, and people lost their fucking
yeah.
mind. People couldn't handle it. I'm like, it's a balance change. That's what a balance change is. A nerf would have been shield that gets destroyed in one hit. That's a nerf. That's not the
Yeah.
same thing. And that's what people don't
want
understand.
you-
They don't
yeah,
understand
They
it.
want you to be
They just-
more.
They'd
Yeah, don't
rather
just
they'd rather
stand there
bitch
and
about
take the
it.
hit with shield like, oh, it can just come back right back. No, when you get shot and you know that you're in trouble, start moving, start hiding behind rocks. That's why they made the map for.
So-
The map was so intricate with rocks and stuff like that is because it's advantage points where you can take advantage and have your shield recharge again, or have pin yourself down to take down a horde or whatever it is that you need to take down.
And here's my thing too. Like I understand some people you have that play style or whatever, but the issue is it's not your play style. What you did is you look on YouTube and you go, what's the meta for this game?
Oh,
What's the best
No.
weapon? What's the best armor? You look at it
Leave that alone.
and then you
Leave
use that
alone.
to be OP. My problem is gamers today are less about actually experiencing the world and the game you're in, and more about I need to fill up. What's the most efficient way to be overpowered? That
Mhm.
it's come on, bro. Like just play the game. Cyberpunk, right? all these
Honestly,
videos on
no.
YouTube are what's OP the fucking arm rocket, how to cheat and get your arm rocket to 99,000 damage. It's like, bro, just experience the game. Why is everything a cheat nowadays?
No, I
We're
mean,
back
you should-
we're back to GTA 5 and the left, down, up, right. You know what I mean? We're back to that again. We're full circle. Right? So okay, let's move on to let's go with the upper echelon of why some games are failing. I'll do a little intro first. I'll say I think games are coming out in worse states because of fear of being canceled, which sounds weird, but when I explain, you'll understand. So, coming from someone who's been in the game industry for as long as I have, you see what happens when upper management sees all this hate and all this bandwagoning. You see other games getting railed and killed, and studios being shut down, and people losing their jobs. It creates a fear thing. I'm sorry, but online is very powerful these days, and you can ruin someone's whole life just by bashing them.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong
Oh,
or
yeah.
right, you can do that, right? So
Whether it be a single comment or a group comment or a comment of just playing it out from the whole community, it has power.
yeah,
You know.
so it starts with that, and because of that, every decision maker in the game studio is now scared, right? They don't want to be the one to cause shareholders money. They don't want to be the one to cause the studio to shut down. They don't want to be the ones to make the publishers shut them down, whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
So they are very docile and safe when it comes to making gaming decisions, which is the wrong thing to do. It's making a game is the opposite of that. If you're not pushing boundaries, why are you making the game in the first place, right? And that results in a bunch of mediocre games that just copy each other. Oh, they go, hey, this game was successful. Let's copy that formula, except we're going to do it in Pokemon form. Like Power World. Do you understand that Power World was popular for no goddamn reason? I even played it. I mean, I got it for 90% off, but I even played it. Right? And when I played the game, I was like, what the fuck is the hype of this game? If it wasn't for the slave meme, I'm sorry, that's what it was. Coming from a person of color, two people of color, it was a slave meme, the whole game. But you know what content in that game was terrible. There was no bosses, no story, not even text dialogue in the goddamn game.
It was just up and build.
It was just build, hit
And
other
capture.
people, go to these random towers that aren't explained. Why am I in this world? Why are there Pokemon with guns?
Mhm.
That's it. But
No
millions
goal,
and millions of
basically,
players.
no end goal. No end goal for the game.
Did you see the drop off? It went from 2 to 4 million players to like 10,000.
Yep.
Because everybody was like, wait, hold on, this game fucking sucks. It sucks.
No,
the game
it was
sucks.
just
the
it was-
game fucking
it wasn't-
blows.
it wasn't that
Sorry.
it just sucked. It just moved on to the next. Like for example,
Oh, the game sucked, Eddie.
Lethal
It's terrible.
Company. It had a lot of followings. It
Lethal
had a lot of
Company's
player
fun,
count.
though. Little Company
was
is
fun.
fun. It's
It was fun. I know. I
It's
get
got
you. I get you.
substance. You gotta
whenever-
roll to play. There's a story. There's a
Look,
scary
look.
element.
I know. I get you. But at the same time, look what happened to Among Us. It was popular then. New game came out. That game got popular. They left and played that game.
Oh no, I get that. I get the whole.
Yeah.
I can understand that. But what I'm saying is, because this game had no substance, like other people were playing those games because they were fun. Like
Mhm.
Among Us was fun and entertaining, and a lot of funny moments happened. Same thing with
Yeah. Lethal Company.
Lethal Company.
Power World.
A lot of not Power World. I'm telling you right now, it's not the same. Right? Power World
Well,
was
a lot-
how bad can I treat my Pokemon and act like a slave master to get clicks? Dude, that's what that game is. There are people hanging their Pokemon. Like, it's wild, right? But the game, if you ask me, the game was not fun. You sat there and this is what you did the whole game. Dun, dun. And when you got tired of that, you got slaves to do it, which are called Pokemon with guns. And then once they weren't doing it right, you kick them in the ass. And every once in a while, you go out in the world and you catch some more Pokemon. But like, that's it. There was nothing behind it. They didn't even explain. Like, there's no intro, no cutscenes, no nothing.
No, there wasn't.
It was just-
There wasn't.
It was literally a game that was probably. I know it took 3 years to make that game, but let's be honest,
They did have
it took 8
interest-
months. It took 8
They did
months.
have interesting concepts. You know, you
What?
can build your own house, build fortresses.
Hey,
build
that's in
stuff
a
like
million
that.
games. It's not a new
I
concept.
know, I get that, but because it had a lot of hype because it was
of the
somewhat
slave
of a
element.
Pokemon.
Don't do that.
Not, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. Don't
And on
do-
top of that, what was the original pull?
Oh my god.
What was the original pull? Pokemon with guns. How many
Guns,
guns were
yes,
actually in the
okay.
goddamn game? 3. Like three Pokemon could have guns, and they were so crazy. The requirements were so crazy to get the Pokemon to have a gun that no one did it. No one did it.
People did do it. People did do it. I have to tell you,
Not
they
a lot.
did.
Not a lot.
Not a
I
lot,
don't
but they
believe it.
did do it. They did do it.
I'm sorry, that game sucked. I was sad that I bought it. The only time I had fun was playing with friends and doing dumb shit. But other than that, there was
Isn't that
nothing
the
to.
isn't that the goal for this? Just to play
No,
around.
there's a
do
there's a
dumb
difference
shit?
between something with substance like Lethal Company, right? Where Lethal Company, you're actually doing stuff together. You need each other to survive and get the objective. And Power Wheel's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna walk over here. Okay, Eddie, I'm gonna walk over here. All right, Eddie, you go over here. And then
Well, because
every
it had-
once in a while, you go, I'm dead. Help
It
me.
had that okay, but it had that unique formula of randomization where you never know what you're gonna meet.
Not really.
I'm not saying it for Power. I'm saying it for Lethal Company. Lethal Company did had a lot
Yeah.
of randomization
Which is
whenever
great.
you go in, which is
Great.
good because it makes every single run interesting and never boring. Which is sadly not for Power World. Power World never had that type of thing.
It's
It
boring.
was just a build your base. It was a build a base, capture them all with
In
no
my-
story.
in my
no
personal
end
opinion,
goal.
It's a fucking alpha beta. That's what I felt from playing it. This is a beta game.
But at the same time, you're knocking on it without giving it time to grow and see if it's able to give itself a story
No,
or
so
to give
I'm-
itself an end goal.
I'm not knocking it to kill it. I'm giving a personal opinion of I played it without judgment, and I played it fully. What was possible anyway, and it's just a base builder with interesting creatures. That's it.
yeah,
And I'm not saying
that's your take
I'm
on
not
it.
saying
though.
that it can't grow to something different, but I'm saying the reason it was popular is not because the game was good. It's a different
Well,
reason.
because
It's a meme.
controversy,
It's a meme.
yeah.
It's and because
was-
today's online, like when a streamer plays a meme game, right? We're talking about what's the funny one where you can like grab people and shit. Something guys, Fall Guys, right?
Mhm,
Fall Guys
mhm.
is fun, a little fucking infuriating, but fun.
Rage-inducing. I
But
can't-
the
I
reason
can't
why
blame
it's
that.
so popular is because it's a meme. You can
Yeah.
funny shit happens. They have cool skins. You know, Fortnite. I'm not getting into Fortnite. I don't know what that game is. That game is an anomaly. An anomaly. I don't know why people still play it. I understand why people still play it. I'm just like I'm so tired of hearing about it. But anyway, regardless, you have a game like Power World, right? There are different types of games. So we're going back to the development status, right?
Mhm.
Developers are not taking creative steps to go above and beyond or forward the game industry. They are doing what's safe. So they're saying, hey, Cyberpunk did this. When Cyberpunk came out, do you remember how many goddamn Cyberpunk games came out?
Oh,
Themed? Cyberpunk themed? There was like 100
it
games.
wasn't
that-
just. It wasn't just like when
books,
Cyberpunk
movies,
was coming out.
shows.
When it was when it was at the peak of its release and stuff like that, it had a lot of problem with people and people that are transsexual that they wanted to be included, and therefore the company they had no choice and they put in where it's like, okay, now you can be whatever gender you want to be because that's what people wanted. Now the thing is, in my opinion on that, let's leave that out because these are games. These are games that we want to enjoy and not relate ourselves towards, because it's like I get that the agenda of whatever it is that you want this to play as a whole, but at the same time, games itself has no place in whatever it is that's going on out here in the real world. This is a virtual world with virtual settings, virtual adventures that you can partake and have fun with. It's your options to either play it or put it down and not play it at all. So, I mean, sorry, I'm going track off of it, but yeah.
No, that's great. That's a great point to make. I'll follow up you. My thing is trends, right? Trends is what the gaming industry is, what the social media is today. Trends.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, trends are so powerful that people are literally damaging their own bodies to do a trend. Right? It started with eating Tide Pods and cinnamon challenges, where people literally died or could have died from doing these things. But the trend, I got to do the trend. I got to get clicks. I got to be popular. Right? That's the problem. Now that transcends everything else, because that's what's most important in people's lives today. People aren't even going to school because they're trying to say, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a TikTok star. Right? It's all about attention. And lack of a better word, it's all about attention whoring. So the problem is the people who lead these game companies, right? And even young people that lead companies, right? The current studio I'm at, I have a younger leadership
demographic.
I'm sorry, the company owners and shareholders are younger, right? But if you look at AAA studios, the Activisions, the Blizzards, they have old wigs, old heads leading those companies, and they are just trying to find their way in this new streaming world. So because of that, what do? What's the only thing they can do is follow trends. Now, when it comes to trends, what's trending? Violence, bandwagoning, the transgender LGBTQ plus issues that they're not included anymore or enough, whatever that is, right? So, but you have stuff like Harry Potter.
A lot of things, yeah.
You get stuff like Harry Potter where it's like, oh, we put one transgender person there. It's like, yes, no one cares. No one is upset that the person is transgender. The problem is you're putting it into a world where that's not an issue. You're ruining the world. Yeah, Harry Potter doesn't have a transgender issue. That universe doesn't have that issue. Our society today and our world today has that issue. That topic of of contingency and like just grit and tug and pull, right? That's our society.
It breaks what you call
immersion.
It
breaks immersion. So in the Harry Potter game, I was super immersed until I met the bartender, and then I was thrown out of the world. I was like, okay, this is weird. Once you leave the bar and everything, you can get immersed again. My point is, it's unnecessary inclusion. It's over inclusion, if you ask me.
Yeah,
we're to the point where such a small group of people have so much power when it comes to what you can dictate, and it's because of cancel culture. I'm sorry, if you don't put it, if a transgender person or whatever who it is says we need to be put in this game, and a developer comes out and says no, that's just not those things don't exist in this world. We don't want to do that. That studio will get canceled. Every news outlet will kill it. IGN will kill it. Kotaku. Then you have streamers like the big streamers will hop on the bandwagon because they're going to get clicks and money from it.
Exactly.
That's what happens all the time, and it's not just games; it's everything, right? Which sucks. So now you have, so you have even Star Wars, right? Every Star Wars character is now a woman almost. It's like the problem is not that it's a woman. The problem is that you're overdoing that sentiment, right? Everything is a woman, right? Rey. Then you have the new Star Wars game that came out. Then you have, all the directors are women, and now it's just like, dude, just spread it out a little bit. This is like I'm getting overly waterboarded with inclusion. It's overdone. And mind you, this is a small group of people, right? So this is the problem. This is the main issue I boiled it down to, just by looking at what's going on, being in the industry, and understanding why these things are failing. Right? You have old heads in control of these game companies or AAA studios. They have an idea to make a game. They go, hey, we need to look at the trends and do the trends so that we get an uptick in popularity, in downloads, in purchases, right? What are the trends? Transgender, BLM, all that shit, right? Whatever is going on today, right? That's what's trending. What do? We got to put those in there. Not taking into the fact that transgender people don't even play goddamn video games in the first place. They are a very small demographic of the nerd community. I'm sorry. It just is what it is, right? It's also a smaller group of people as a whole. So what you're doing is you're changing a whole game that potentially will touch millions of people, and you're cutting all those millions of people off for the 20,000 people that are complaining.
Yep.
And the problem is those 20,000 people aren't even buying your game. They're just complaining to complain, right? Because that's today's world. Instead of saying, hey, how many of you complainers actually bought Star Wars? Right, and we can go into the Star Wars director that just got fired, the Indian lady, who her first talk show or her first live appearance, she said, I enjoy making men suffer or men uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Which is
90% of the people who go to watch Star Wars are men. You moron.
Yeah, like the majority population that love and enjoy Star Wars, and I'm not gonna say that it's not all women.
That is the
most
perfect.
Men.
That's the perfect example of what I'm talking about, right? That is 100% of Star Wars heads going, hey, let's hire this feminist because that's popular.
Mm-hmm.
Not taking into account who buys Star Wars. Not feminists. Feminists don't even support their own goddamn sports. You think they're gonna buy Star Wars? They don't even go to WNBA games. It's just those are the same people who are complaining, and we're off topic, but I gotta say it. Those are the same people that complain WNBA women should get paid the same as NBA. It's money, chica. It's a job. I'm sorry. If you work at Motel 6 and you're getting paid $6 an hour.
Ring it back.
Oh, last one. If you go to work at Motel 6 and you get paid $6 an hour, you can't claim you want to get paid the $30 an hour that the Marriott guy makes. They're $1 billion company and you're $1,000 company. It's about revenue, right? Mm-hmm. And then people have said it before. NBA players have said it. Women in the WNBA, you make more money percentage-wise than we do. We just have a bigger pool of money. That's the only difference. We get 7%, you get 20%. The difference is we make $2 billion. You make 200,000. That's my point. Okay, what I'm saying is these groups of people don't even support their own thing, but yet game companies, movie companies, shows, they're all abiding to this thing because on social media, it makes it seem like that is the biggest thing ever. There's so many people supporting it. Oh my god, millions of people. Well, that's not the case. They're doing it because it's popular.
It's popular, and basically it's targeting a demographic of people that
will
approve of it. Because it's like, okay, if we make a game that's based off of something that the BLM will like, the LGBTQ will like, and stuff like that, we're in the green. We're not going to get targeted. We're not going to get hated on. We're going to be safe from them. Because if by any chance or from some certain reason that they start hating on it, and then because people, those groups, and scary as it is, have the power to basically to just put that game on a back burner, or just basically destroy the hell out of it because it did not meet the standard.
Their standards.
Their standards.
Ridiculous.
Where it's like, again, like you said, Nick, they're in fear that whatever it is that they take out, or whatever it is that they send out to the public, and they don't like it, it's going to be a for sure shot that it's going to be burning down, and everybody in that development branch is going to go down with it. And it's scary because it's like, how is it that it's okay that how is it okay that onto that next topic that we're talking about, that we find it offensive or not okay that deemed by IGN that Stellar Blade was not okay.
Oh my god, we can talk about Stellar Blade. We can talk about
that it only targeted for male audience because of the obscene look
boob
of
physics.
What they exactly. And it's like, you're telling me.
You're damn right. You're damn right. It's targeting us.
Yeah, it's like, so you're telling me that we give a pass to Automata, Near Automata, and Bayonetta
Bayonetta.
a pass, but we can't let Stellar
Not
Blade
to
go.
mention every anime ever. Every
Like-
anime game, every anime has had boob and butt physics, and now we're to the defensive. It's ridiculous.
It's like where to the point where do we stop to the point where it says that's not okay when it has been done previous in the years. Bayonetta 2, Nier Automata, fucking Dead or Alive. They came out.
Oh my god!
Knowing for the
Resident
fact
Evil,
that
7 foot
Resident
mommy,
Evil.
7 foot mommy with jiggle physics.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the fuck
Lady
out of here.
Demetress, yeah. Miss Thickness, yeah, for sure. It's like you're telling me that these characters have a past, but Stellar Blade doesn't. What's
That's my
the
point.
fuck?
That's my point, right? And this going back to Moist Critical. Remember, I still love you, dude. He just did a video on Stellar Blade, and he's like, the game's actually good. Yes, get dude. It's just this is my problem with today's society, especially entertainment. Everyone is so hyper focused on the dumb shit and not the actual game, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like just focus. We want to know what the game, right? Developers make an experience, and you're supposed to experience that. But instead of experiencing it, you're sitting there worried about the jiggle figures of some digital tit.
It
Who
blows
cares?
my mind. It
cares?
blows my freaking mind to know
And
that it's like.
I want to say,
okay.
I also want to say,
okay.
I don't like IGN anymore. I haven't liked them in years. I think they fell off and they're just doing.
They're played out. They're played out. You know,
It's
they're
that, but
going-
it's also they've become less an actual news source for games and more of like let's just say news that will get us clicks because they're losing money.
Exactly.
That's what that is.
Exactly.
Kotaku is heading down that road too, unfortunately. And
Oh,
that's where
that sucks.
people are turning to YouTube. People are turning to their favorite streamers that they've been
I
subscribed
might
to
have
for
to
years.
I might have to check on Polygon and see what's going on with them too.
I think
whether or
Polygon's
not
still
they're-
cool. I think Polygon's still chill. In my opinion.
Polygon's still cool.
I think
I
they're
might
still
have to
okay
check
for
on them
now.
later.
But my
Yeah.
problem is you're going to have writers that are biased like that, right? And IGN is usually not that political, right? The person who wrote that took offense to boobs and butt, and I'm like, you must
You
not
picked the
know.
wrong person.
You must not know
You
what
picked-
anime is or anything because every anime game that came out that spawned from an anime. I mean, have you seen any of the VTubers? They got tit physics. Have you? I mean, my problem is you're okay with real people showing their ass for money, but a video game, this is you're now it's wrong. OnlyFans is okay, but the video game tit physics is bad.
I mean, we do have a rating system, so you know.
Like what the fuck? I'm so confused.
leave it up to that. I mean, it shows very well that it's a game not rated E for everyone, and
Yes.
yet you're knocking on it because it's like, oh, this kid. When does kid ever do not go
Dude,
into games
Asian-
and not put their fucking
I'm
play?
sorry, Japanese mostly, but Asian in general. Art styles are that way. They have always been that way. They're never gonna change. You can go to cartoons back in the '90s. Anime girls had huge tits or fat asses, and they're supposed to be 14. Come on, get over it. It's just their style. Just what it is. They accentuate when they appreciate women. They accentuate their attributes. It's always been that way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you look at anime, they're overly girly. They're overly cute. They're overly shy on purpose. They're not doing it to, I don't know, fucking piss you off. It's their art style, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it also goes into games. And I played the demo of Stellar Blade yesterday, Eddie, on PS5, just to see what the hell's going on. It's a good game. It's very hard. Oh, it's difficult, I will say. It's not quite
I mean,
like
I
Dark
saw the
Souls
gameplay
style.
for it.
It's
I saw
not
the
quite Dark
gameplay
Souls,
for it.
but it's very unforgiving. It's very like you get hit once, your health bar is toot, like half. It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
It's very unforgiving. The save points are very unforgiving. There's only certain save points. You can't just save willy nilly. It's a good game. I didn't see anything wrong with it. Yeah, the
Mhm.
girls are jiggle physics, but that's not the point of the game. It is not fucking it's not a Prawn Star game. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not a game about,
Yeah,
18 and
they don't
older.
focus on the
There's
sexualization
no
of the
there's
models
no there's no
that are being placed
Nepales.
in the
Yeah.
game.
There's no Nepales, there's no brown stars, there's no chunky monkeys, there's nothing in there. Okay? It's just
Gotta say it like
it's
that.
I can't say the words, YouTube.
I get it.
What I'm saying is
Uh-huh.
it's just insinuating sexiness. And what's wrong? Since when has a sexy woman being strong been bad? Tomb Raider,
True.
all the movies that came out back then, right? Strong women that were also sexy. What's wrong with that? Why do all the women now in all the games and movies and shows have to look like dudes?
Oh no. They
sorry.
get paraded by protesters saying that you're objectifying that what we look like or
You
what
have
we
OnlyFans. You objectified yourself.
Mhm.
You got a
It's
BBL in your booty. You objectified yourself with that fake butt. This is funny, but have you seen the video of the person who was flying back from Brazil on a honeymoon? And
Yeah.
there was 30 women on the plane that had to buy 2 seats because they just got BBLs, and so they have to lay on their stomachs because their
Damn,
butt's
that's
sore from all
rough.
the surgeries. Yeah,
Damn.
ridiculous, dude, crazy.
Oh
That's
man.
besides the point. My point is, you have
Yeah.
you have bigwigs that are trying to follow trends. They don't know how to follow trends
Mhm.
because they're old school, and so they're
I
just
just
doing
think
whatever's
I think
trending,
IGN
and it's the wrong way to
IGN
build
made a
games.
bad call to put that particular person in charge of reviewing a game that, regardless
See?
of
Group physics.
but like again, I think it's a bad call for IGN to put somebody who's had a problem with a game like this to review it, because again, when you're reviewing something, you have to be, on the even playing field. You don't care about what is good or what is bad. You have to give it a fair and conclusive evaluation.
Dude, that's my problem with it. Is that this person is opinionated. They are not giving you. IGN is supposed to be the neutral source of information for games, right?
Mhm.
I have a buddy. I have a coworker friend. I have a work friend who swears by IGN, looks at IGN reviews of everything. And it's really hard to listen and talk about any game because all he does is, they got batteries from IGN. It's like, dude, IGN is not the source you need to be getting your information from. Watch someone on YouTube that actually played the game and knows what games are and is not very opinionated. Come on, just do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was the person that said, and Suicide Squad is another one. I should have brought up Suicide Squad in this live stream. Suicide Squad got unnecessary, ridiculous hate, dude. I played that game. The game is fun as shit. The traversal's fun. It was like, everything's so repetitive. Every open world, you can't name one open world game that's not repetitive.
Might remind you, don't
Fetch
forget
quests.
about getting the Joker DLC. I think I heard that it's fun.
I
that
probably
it's a
will
bit
get
of an addition to the story.
The game is fun. The whole point, and everyone bashed it because I don't know. I don't fucking know. Oh, I saw one person that gave it a super negative review because it said, "You shot Flash with bullets. The Flash is too fast for bullets." There's a reason in game, you jackass. All you have to do is play it, and you understand why that happened. You watching on YouTube, you're being outraged for no reason. There's a reason the Flash can get shot with bullets. They found Speed Force, right? There's a Speed Force gauntlet. They stole it. If you hit Flash with the Speed Force gauntlet, it slows him down prematurely for a while. That's how they're able to shoot him, you jackass. After that timer's over, he's impossible to hit again. My point is, this guy gave it a bad review because he just didn't fucking play the game. He just assumed, and that's the problem with our society. We assume too much. It's fucking terrible, and everything gets ruined, right? And I didn't want to bring up Anthem, but I'm going to bring up Anthem. Me and Eddie played Anthem. We have like 200 plus hours each in that game. That game is great. Had great lore, had a great foundation. It was sick to fly around like Iron Man. The customization was great. The only thing that was wrong, but it was a live service. And people at the time don't understand what a live service is. They go, Destiny did it. Destiny had no goddamn still has no goddamn content. It is hard to make a live service. Impossible, almost. Not a lot of games succeed. You have Helldivers 2, which is technically a live service
Look,
that's succeeding
plain and simple.
because of the replayability.
Mm-hmm.
It's random, right? It's random replayability, and there's an ongoing fight and democracy and pushing back planets and getting pushed back and objective updates, right? But that's not new content being added,
No.
right? When you have a game like Anthem, you need giant pieces of content to be added to the world, right? You can't just go, hey, I'm going to add a new gun. It doesn't work that way in a game like Anthem. Destiny either. Why is Destiny dying? Because people finally realizing, hey, I paid $450 over 6 years to play this damn game, realizing that there's not a lot of content in this game. You just repeat the same shit over and over for a different theme.
Yep.
Right? So, my thing is Anthem did get a chance, right? But Anthem came out at a time where it was past the prime of No Man's Sky, right? But before Cyberpunk. So it was in this middle of the hate train starting up. So what you had people that said the game was great, the game was fun. There are a couple bugs here. I don't like the microtransactions for the skins. That's fine, right? Right, that's an opinion. That's great. It's fine. But then you had this hype train this hate train of there's nothing to do in this game. There is so much to do in that game, but when you beat it, you gotta wait. That's what live service is. You play the game, you wait, new content drops, you play it again. That's how Destiny works. That's how a lot of live service games works. Think about WoW. WoW's been around for a billion years. Do you think people play after they beat the DLC? No. The thing drops like off a cliff after everyone's done with the DLC. No one plays it. That is a live service. That is the nature of live service. The company that is making a live service game is prepared for that. That's how it works. Right? The problem is we're in such a high state of bandwagon hating that when everybody was done with the content, it just was hate for 9 months. To the point
they just
where
don't understand
EA,
the type of damage that they're doing to their community.
They got thousands of people fired, lost their jobs, their income for their families because they're bitching that their game wasn't cool enough. That's the problem I have with it. People don't look past the game part. Like an actual human being made your game. It's not a robot. You know?
Exactly.
Some dude named Jeff has no job now because you bitched like a little 5-year-old. Instead of giving the time for the developers to make the game the way you want it, which is also wild. People are like, this is how I want it. It should be this way. There are millions of people that say the same thing you say, and it's different. How the fuck is a game developer, excuse my language, how the hell is it, excuse my language, how the Smeagol is a game developer, is a game developer supposed to appease everyone? You can't. It's impossible. So what you have is he has a game studio that's being pushed by EA because of bad publicity and online to do an update 2.0 for the whole game. Remember that? We're going to come out with Anthem 2.0. It's going to change the whole game. That takes years, my guy. They're starting over. But no one could wait. No one has patience. So the more hate compounded and more hate compounded and more hate compounded, and then EA shut down the whole studio on the project. And now we don't have this cool world of Anthem. It's gone forever. No one's going to pick it up. The assets weren't released. Right? You have these things where you have to sit there and realize, like, hey, it's not that serious, my guy. Give your opinion.
No, it's not.
Give your opinion and let it go. Why do you have to bandwagon hate? And my biggest problem with bandwagon hating, and you probably agree with me too, a lot of these bandwagoners that say the game is shit has never even fucking played it or seen gameplay to begin with. They're saying they hate it because their famous YouTuber person that they trust says they hate it. It's word of mouth. It's word of mouth only. They're not actually physically playing the game or anything. Which is sad. Yeah. Because some of the games that are popular are fucking trash. I'm sorry. God, my language. Some of the games that are popular are absolute garbage. Power World, garbage.
Yeah, I understand that frustration where you're coming from. Because, dude, the fact that a lot of games that had a lot of potential into growth have been completely shut down by just meaningless hate of comments of, why I don't like it, and they just plain believe on it, and they go ahead and just join that bit to know that that game will never come back. You don't know the repercussions or the consequences that you're going to live. That game could have been something. That game could have been the prime of its time. Prime of its time. Like, we're going to talk about a certain game later on if we're going to continue doing this. And I have a lot of talk about this game. It's a well-known game that was promised in 2013 called Destiny. And this game had a lot of promises, but because of what it led to and what it developed throughout the years, became the very Frankenstein of what we see today in Destiny 2. And don't I mean I'm not knocking it saying that Destiny 2 is bad. It's good. It's just that Bungie did something that they shouldn't have done, and they could have kept going, but because of where they are now, you know, you saw the internet, you saw what happened to them. They had to cut a lot of people because of it. Because they weren't working, they weren't providing the entertainment, they weren't doing a lot of things to keep them afloat. And because of that, they had to cut a lot of people from the project or from the game. And because of that, honestly, if I in a few years, but by the way the state of this game is gonna go, it's gonna die. It's gonna die. It'll be once upon a time there was a good game that had promises saying that it will be a game that will keep continuing no matter what, that it'll keep evolving, that it will never be it will never stop changing, to the point where it had to go to another rendition, to a sequel, and now we're at the final chapter of that story. It
And
it's
yeah,
not.
I agree. And that's a game that deserves some of the hate, though.
Yeah,
At this
but
point in the stage,
I think we
it's
should
their
have
own
a
fault.
separate segment about Destiny, because this is like a tragic a tale of a promising thing that led to its own downfall.
Yeah, and I think the next stream we do, we'll probably talk about the state of Destiny, and how it went so wrong. The problem is also you have the star child babies of the industry who don't get all the hate, right? Destiny, I'm sorry, but Destiny deserved a lot of the hate other games get. Destiny should have gotten a while ago. I mean, they are money hungry. The microtransactions and the costs just to play the game, even though it's free to play, is ridiculous. That's for another time. The point is, Destiny's affected now that people are starting to wake up and understand what's going on. Now it's being affected.
Yeah.
But I will say, Bungie as a whole just aren't great. They're not great with money and investments and content. I'm sorry. Everyone gives them a pass because of their Halo days. It doesn't mean they're good now.
No.
The people who made Halo, well, for the most part, aren't there anymore. That's what people don't understand. They see a name, right? Like Activision. They see a name. Oh, my favorite was Black Ops 1. How can they make it? Dude, the people who made Black Ops 1 don't work there anymore, my guy. You understand, it's a group of people's collective consciousness to make a game. It's a working machine. Every cog has to work. Compromise, quality assurance, everything has to work. Right? When that game is done, that group of people usually don't stay together. It's just not how the game industry works. People like to hop around to different projects to experience different things. So you're expecting the same game from something that happened 20 years ago, but a completely different group of people and personalities and the way of doing things. It just doesn't work. Okay, anyway, that's the point. Like, it's a definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting the same product, same great 100% perfect product every time. You're expecting different results and getting the same answer every time. People's ideas of products are different. And when by products, I mean games, movies, whatever it is, mostly games. But it's very hard. It's very hard to stay true to the previous thing. You know why? Because it's already been done. If you do that again, People be like, it's the same fucking game. Then and in turn, get hate anyway. Right? You can't recreate the brilliance of a game. You just have to hope that you can do it again with different ideas, and you have to forward the game industry, forward the idea. You have studios that just keep re-releasing old games because they can't figure out how to forward their game, their IP, right? Like GTA. Well, GTA had a different problem. They were making too much money. My point is,
I mean, with the new one coming out,
we'll see if it comes out. It's probably gonna be delayed again.
I mean, thanks to the kids, that kid.
I'm sorry, that game's gonna be a mess. There's girls twerking on cars, and transgender shelter plays, and it's wild, bro. That game is just a meme city. All the craziest memes, it's just meme city. But yeah, I guess to kind of wrap up our live stream, it's been an hour and 15. Hour and 15 minutes. We had some technical difficulties at first. I think we could talk about how do we, in our opinion, how do we think we could fix it? If we could fix it today, what would be your advice for everyone to listen to you?
You
want me to go first? I can go first.
Oh, I mean, for me, to solve the problem that we have now is to identify that we do have a problem. We can't keep just side glancing the fact that no, we can't keep side glancing that it's not a big problem. It is a big problem. What we're looking at is we need to identify it, and to do that, we need to ask ourselves: are we willing to sacrifice ourselves or put ourselves through shit? Sorry, mind my French. Going through the mud to appease something that may not be a good thing to have for games.
I agree. I think in order to fix the state of the game industry today, or entertainment in general, number one, we have to make the people in charge understand that doing trends is not the way to create something, creativity. Trends change every other week. Problem is, the trend you're developing in the game is not going to be the same trend when it gets released. It's not. That's the word. That's number one. Number two, stop being afraid of creating your own game world, not influenced by the real world. That is the whole point of entertainment, right? People like to say, right? Why aren't trans people? Because in Harry Potter, asshole, it doesn't exist. The whole point is that we're going to watch this movie, we're going to play this game to enter a different world. Horizon Zero Dawn has none of that shit in there, and it's regarded as one of the best RPGs of all time. Both of the games, right? They don't input, politics. They don't input, climate. They don't none of that shit, right? It's a female protagonist that's both beautiful, sexy, and strong, right? Who has character and actual function, right? She's her own person, makes her own decisions. That's what you need. You need just straightforward storytelling. Why is that so hard? So that's another thing. Just tell your story of your game. Stop worrying about what's popular on TikTok and social media. Just make your game your way.
They excluded the LGBTQ, and basically they're still fine. They're still going strong. They're still doing what they need to do.
Yeah, because it's not about what gender your character is. It's about fighting for democracy and blowing stuff up. And it's not about politics. At least the politics in our real world. The point is, these worlds and universes that we get into are not real. Our world is real. Sometimes we need an escape. People like to do these things because it's an escape. If you start going, this is why movie sales are down, everything, because no one wants to go to a Star Wars movie and be waterboarded with politics. That's what it is. The Marvels movie wasn't actually bad premise-wise, but the delivery was terrible because every other second it was woman power this, woman power that. I'm a feminist. F men. Like every 2 seconds, you're like, you're a superhero. You don't give a crap about men's problems on Earth.
Nope.
And I'm sorry, like, it doesn't make any damn sense. It like you said, it breaks immersion. Every time I hear that shit, it's just like you have to go and look back as a person who owns Disney, Marvel, whatever it is. Why were these Marvel movies successful for 20 years and we're just starting a new chapter and everything's tanking? There's a reason. Because you guys keep doing what's popular in social media instead of just telling the Star Wars story. Just tell the Star Wars story, whether it's a game, a movie, or show, right? Why was Loki so good? Loki is great. It's a great show,
yeah.
right? Then you watch something else. You watch, some other show from Marvel, and you're like, this is a total, complete opposite of what Loki was. Loki was an original story with comedy and some outside things, but not really. But it told the story that they're in. Told the story of Loki and Thor and the Time Agency, and the one above, not the one above all. I keep saying that. The villain and all that stuff, right? It told a story. It was great. It tied in older movies, everything. What exactly was supposed to do? They didn't change Loki to a black trans dude with a staff up his butt because it's popular. You know what I mean? Like, he's still Loki. Everything's being changed to appease what's popular, and it's just like, don't do that. Create your own story, and people will like it if it's good. Stop trying to appease. Because what you're doing is, you're not only gonna piss them off. Now you're pissing off the normal people who like are nerds and just want to go play Star Wars. Now you're pissing them off because like, you're screwing up Star Wars now. You're screwing it up. You went from Force Lightning to Force Nails, and this is the problem.
A lot of the fans have given a lot of their time and effort to know about
money.
the lore.
Billions of
and
dollars.
money about the lore about Star Wars and how enriching it is. And to find out that some directors are just manipulating to the fact that it's like, okay, so this happens now. And you're like, okay, so now you're just touching hot water now. Because now you're touching into a sensitive subject that a big group of people love about, and you're
mostly your fan base.
Yeah, mostly your fan base, and you're messing with it. Don't do that. That's basically poking the bear. Don't poke it.
Poke it. Poke it. And see, and the problem is it keeps happening, right? That people are too afraid to change the way they do things now because they're so afraid of getting canceled, but they end up getting canceled anyway because they're not doing things what they're supposed to do in the first place. Right? It's a vicious cycle, and it's a definition of insanity. And people keep saying, like, is Disney trying to close down? Kind of seems like it, You had two maybe good movies, more Marvel content movies recently, the recent history, and all the rest are flops, fails, loss of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars down the drain. And it's like, you would think someone would say, hey, this is our fourth movie / show that's failed. What's going on here? No, they just keep doing the same thing. And it's like, you guys haven't learned. I'm sorry. No. Most of the people that go to watch that stuff are super nerds who own the comics and know the lore. And you're taking the lore and you're shitting on it.
Yep, exactly.
Straight up diarrhea pool on it,
Yeah.
Holy shit, Jesus just walked in.
I know.
But anyway, this is interesting topic. I love the topic. I think maybe next stream, maybe me and Eddie will play some games and talk about some other stuff. Here on Mahalo World, we want to have a variety of content. We want to have these discussions. I figured out the chat thing. Sorry, chat was kind of messed up for a second there. We had to restart the live stream a couple times. But the point is, we want Mahalo's World to be a kind of all-around game industry type of channel. We want to do reviews on games that come out. And we don't
get you guys basically informed and more thinking more like not into what you guys see in the media, not what you guys see through iconic YouTuber that you always will look at, but to open your eyes on another point of view about things that you never, maybe you may have thought or may not thought about.
Yeah, exactly.
a
Exactly.
refresher point, you know.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to follow the mainstream bandwagon hating. Like Dragon's Dogma 2, I put 200 hours in already. It's a good game. You just got to understand there's pain points like the lower FPS in cities around lots of NPCs. That's just, unfortunately, that's the negative thing about it. But other than that, it's a great game. A lot of choice, a lot of freedom. It's besides the point. The point is the channel. We want to give you reviews that aren't biased by internet. Yes, we're a small channel. Yes, we've just started out doing stuff. Yes, we have no subscribers and no concurrent views even on this video as of right now.
We'll be open to comments
But
and replies.
my point is, we want to be the type of, well, I hate calling it this, but we are technically a news outlet. Where, we want to be the type of YouTubers that give you our opinions, but also give you the facts on why this game as a whole is good, or this movie, or this whatever. We're not going to say, I don't like Dragon's Dogma 2 is not my type of game, so it's trash, don't buy it.
We're not forcing you anything. We're not forcing you to believe what we say about. It's just something we want to partake and we want to express. And if you guys agree, that's awesome. We're like-minded people. If not, we'll take time to try to convince you, but we won't force you to listen.
And we understand. Everyone has their opinion. It's okay. That's the point of these discussions, right? You can have your own opinion without bashing a game. Bashing a game because your opinion of it is terrible is not the same as the game being bad, right? We explained Dragon's Dogma 2 as that one guy who he bashed it and gave a negative review because it has microtransactions, even though they're optional, have nothing to do with the story at all. It's just optional stuff that you can buy if you want to, right? It's not multiplayer, so it doesn't affect anyone else. But my point is, that type of stuff has to stop in the game industry, entertainment industry as a whole. Like, I want people to actually review the things they're talking about. Instead, right now, current state is, I watch my favorite YouTuber say this, so I'm going to make a YouTube video saying the same thing, hopefully get clicks. That's the wrong way to do it. But anyway, here at Mahalo's World, Mr. Mahalo's World, we serve you, you don't serve us. So in the comment section, put any topics you want us to talk about. Remember, me and my buddy Eddie are industry veterans. We're not just kids that play video games. We've been in the industry.
We know our ins and outs. Yeah,
been in the industry for over 12 years. Developers. Not going to say exactly what we worked on or what we're working on, or what company we work for currently, because that's private. So don't ask. I won't tell. And thank you for stopping by. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for hanging out with us. And we'll see you in the next one. Hopefully, you can hit that subscribe and like so that we can get seen on the algorithm and you can see more of us. Thanks, guys. Peace out.